some of the chess players I've known in some of the chess games I've played in my career. Uh, it's strange, you know, I'm in a part of life now where chess just really doesn't matter, but for most of my life, it was the most important thing. Well, maybe the second most important thing next to mating and dating. But I invested a lot of time and effort and energy and emotion into the problem of chess and trying to become better, specifically trying to win or be awarded the title of National Master, which eventually I did succeed in doing. But I've had a long chess career. I've played probably somewhere close to 1,000 rated games. And of course, you know, during those 1,000 games, I met many interesting and great chess players. One of them I thought I would talk about is a little man from what then was the Soviet Union, whose name was Boris Kogan. And I smiled just to think about it. Boris Kogan arrived in the United States. I think he emigrated or defected from the Soviet Union. He was from the city of Lvov, Lvov, which is one of the largest cities in what is now the Ukraine. It's not Russia. It's the next sort of province to the west, towards Poland. And he was Jewish, and in the Soviet Union, you know, he I guess didn't have a very good or happy time. But he arrived in the United States, in Atlanta, Georgia, in, what year would that have been? Probably the early 80s. 1980 maybe. And immediately he became one of the best. He was the day he arrived, he was one of the best chess players in the United States, and he was invited to play in the U.S. Championship, which is limited really, you know, to the 12 or so best players in the country. And he had a very unusual style. One might describe it as a passive style. It wasn't, compared to the best chess players in the country, it wasn't very, very enterprising. It was a very solid, very safe style, which kind of avoided. There are basically two ways to play chess and two styles of chess, and really individual styles feature some mix of these two poles, which are almost opposites of each other. It is possible for a chess player to be very good at the calculating of combinations. It's almost a mathematical exercise for a chess player sometimes in very complex positions to calculate forcing moves which lead to a definite outcome. In certain positions are amenable to that kind of calculation. And, you know, usually in those kinds of positions, the player who comes out on top is the player who simply calculates better. Calculates forcing moves, has an imagination, and maybe considers, you know, forcing moves that someone else might not consider. And really, you know, most of the showy masterpieces in chess involve, you know, these kinds of positions. These kinds of players are generally called tactical players. Garry Kasparov, who was the world champion for many years, was very definitely a tactical player, although, you know, as he developed as a chess player, he became a very fine all-around player. But the other sort of opposite pole in chess strategy and technique. And these chess players are generally called positional chess players. And positional chess players tend to avoid or not like positions which involve forcing combinations and tactics and calculation. They much prefer positions with sort of solid pawn structures with permanent features that don't change very much. And in those kinds of positions, one might consider them quiet positions. The aspect of chess which counts the most really is knowledge, technique, patience, intuition, and judgment. Things not. It does not generally help in those positions to be a very good combinational player or to have a special talent for the calculation of tactics. Boris was very definitely a positional